My name is Franz Jurkowitsch. I am the CEO of Warimpex. We are an Austrian-based family company in the real estate industry, which is listed on the Vienna and on the Warsaw Stock Exchange. We are a developer, but we are not a typical developer. We develop only for our own, for real estate, which we keep in our own as our own assets. And we are specialized on offices, but we have experience in hotels and also somehow in retail. But our markets are Poland, Germany, Hungary, and Russia. We have in Poland 2 office buildings in Krakow, 2 in Łódź, one additional one in Krakow is under development and will be finished this year in October. In Germany, we bought a hotel and with a lot of land surrounding where we are developing commercial real estate, primarily offices and co-living. In Hungary, we own a big office building. In Russia, we have office buildings and a hotel in St. Petersburg Airport. Our focus is not only on traditional offices, but we have also an own co-working unit, which is rather more a flex office than a co-working. That means the proportion of single entrepreneurs booking a co-working seat is not so big, but the proportion of companies booking with longer, with not so long maturities of their contracts of 6 months or 1 year duration is relatively high. And we have it nicely designed, and we are very successful. And our philosophy is that in each office building, we are using about 15 to 20% of the total usable space in the flex office concept. This allows us that companies which start and don't know how fast they will develop and need office space to give them the room for growing in. And on the other hand, companies, especially smaller ones, which get a new contract, and they need space more or less tomorrow, they can start. It's like a hotel, but just for office. Parallel to it, we are developing a co-living space where we will start also in Darmstadt and in Krakow. So that means we see the trend. The trend goes to more flexibility, to more customers are more and more interested to have no burden of long contracts, but they would like to have a just-in-time possibility to rent and to have a possibility whenever their business is terminating or they are moving to terminate a lease contract and not to stay for another 4 or 5 years in an existing frame of a contract. On the other hand, this co-working / flex office gives us also the possibility, or gives our tenants the possibility, if they have just one additional contract, which has no probability to be repeated again, to stay in the same building, and they can rent a room or 2 or a conference room for a certain period of time. And what we experienced also is that smaller companies which started in our concept, they're growing and they say, okay, it's cheaper for us to go into a traditional format and to leave the co-working / flex office format, and who are becoming a normal tenant with a 5 or 7 years contract. So this is more or less the one of the keys for our success. Most of our office buildings are centrally located. We don't believe so much into satellite locations. We believe into city centers. We also think that offices are not built forever, so that over a certain lifetime of 25, 30 years, it is maybe possible that the conversion is a good idea to improve the efficiency of a building. And we did many conversions. We converted office buildings into hotels, and we converted hotels into extended stay, which is somehow one of the elements of a co-living concept. So we are not only building on greenfield sites, but we are also experienced in conversions. And from an economic perspective and not from a technical perspective, I think we are running into a time where the lifetime of a concept is not as long as it used to be when our parents were active in this field of activities, because we are rethinking the concept of office works with home office, with other forms of entrepreneurship, that you have more and more outsourced work. We need other shapes of offices. We need offices with more room for informal contacts, in order that the people who are working in home office have a chance to be integrated into the informal way of exchange of ideas, which somehow is the basic element of corporate culture. People who are only working in home office will never belong to a company, and they don't have the DNA of a company. So that means whenever the company is shrinking or is changing business, there's a higher probability that they lose their jobs, because they are not belonging to the DNA of the company. And this has an effect that means that the kitchen, that the lobby around the kitchen is the new marketplace for exchanging ideas and all the informal networking which is necessary and which is useful for the people working into a company. And this has an effect on the layout of an office, and the layout of an office has an effect on the possibilities which are offered by the structures of a building. Our concept is to grow our assets, to grow each year by 10, 15, 20,000 square meters of office space. We have a big focus on asset manage our offices ourselves with our own team, because there we get the information what the tenant needs, and that's somehow the seed for our office developments, where we see in which direction is the demand. The listing on the two exchanges helps us to be transparent, so the investors see our results more or less quarterly. And this helps us also in financing, because there is the transparency is giving confidence and trust to our financial partners, be it equity or be it bank or bond investors. The markets we are looking at are, as I mentioned at the beginning, primarily Poland and Germany. Russia in today's situation is on hold in our future development, but we will keep the assets, because you cannot move office buildings into another country. Poland offers still, for these concepts which I mentioned, a lot of possibilities, same as Germany, and to a certain extent also Hungary. So I hope that I gave you a good overview of our activities, and I thank you for your interest in Warimpex. I think we are very flexible, and the flexibility gives us the chance to meet the need of our future tenants immediately. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.